Hello, everyone, and welcome to our recap for episode 7 of Survivor Calgary Wild Wild West. I'm joined once again by Krish and Taylor. Taylor, what'd you think of that episode?
Great episode. I'm liking the post-merge stuff now that we can kind of settle into some new formulas. So yeah.
Yeah, it does not appear to be ugly dominance. This was maybe feared at one point. Krish, what did you think of that episode?
Hey, I've been calling for someone from the ugly tribe to go home for weeks.
Now,
So, I mean, at least we got some carnage.
absolutely, we definitely did. Now, next week you will not see us on the recap because we will not be doing a recap for the Edge return episode, which will be next week. We'll see 2 players come back in the game, including potentially Trent here, who we will be talking to a little bit later. We'll also be talking to Ben a little bit later here as well. But before we sort of talk about the dynamics that went into the vote on Trent, let's first talk about some of the stuff that happened before this challenge. And we'll talk about the challenge a little bit too, because I think it plays into the social dynamics quite a bit. Your sort of thoughts on sort of the talk around Chelsea's idol and her plan to sort of activate it here, Krish.
I think that Chelsea really got the idol at a great time when the ugly tribe hadn't yet split on each other. As we saw in the episode, it allowed Maeve to vote for Chelsea and activate the idol. And it's one of those idols that you have to tell at least someone, otherwise it's not going to be active when you need it.
Yeah, I am curious because I don't know if I have this footage or not. We obviously know Chelsea tells Maeve. We don't know whether Chelsea tells Allie. And I'm curious if we sort of get that info further, as we move forward a little bit further. Just because I know, it's very clear at this point that those 3 are sort of the tight group running the game, as we see from sort of the order of elimination in this challenge. I know you have both played touchy subjects before. I know you have both seen how it sort of impacts dynamics and how people perceive the rest of the game based on how everyone is perceiving the game. But what did you think of this sort of strategy from this group surrounding this challenge, Taylor?
I mean, as good as it really can be. It's tough to put yourself out there when you're kind of forced to, but yeah, this is probably my favorite competition now. I love that you guys added the race for the answers there.
I do think it adds a little bit more. Obviously, it makes it more exciting to watch use people holding up a paper. But I think the fact that it forces someone to eliminate someone rather than have the life system makes it a little bit more sort of definitive, I guess, too.
For sure, yeah.
I think, yeah. I don't know if we'll ever run a season without touchy subjects, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one day. Krish, what are your sort of thoughts on a number of Survivor sort of aficionados, super fans, whatever you want to say, think that if you're ever in this challenge, you should throw it to the best of your capability. What do you think of that sort of mindset if you're Chelsea, if you're Maeve, if you're Allie here?
Normally I would agree because you don't really want that target on your back. But at the same time, all of the answers to the questions were Chelsea. So...
or Trent for the back.
Yeah, there's Chelsea for who's doing the best, and then Trent for who's going home next. So
were there any of these questions that sort of surprised either of you?
I was a little bit surprised by how I feel like everyone is now, or the majority is clocked in on Chelsea's game. I thought she was a little bit more under the radar with Ben just halfway through last episode kind of coming to the realization as to how hard she was playing, but also that lost tribal might have turned a switch on in everyone's head.
We did see that conversation before this challenge too, where Ben is sort of talking with Emily and someone else. I can't remember who else. Maybe Joel was in that conversation. I'm not sure. But basically, did you guys see Chelsea there? She ran that whole vote. And I'm wondering if that sort of played into the perception right away as they sort of got this questionnaire and sort of went from there is, the person who ran the last vote, that's the person who's going to win this game, sort of vibe. Do you think that this challenge impacted sort of decision-making after it in any way, Taylor?
I'm sure it did a little bit, but it kind of worked out insanely well for that tight three with Chelsea, Maeve, and Allie there. My opinion, though, is that Chelsea should have been throwing to the best of her ability in that final three, because it seems like either one of them would bring her to like the final showdown of it. But yeah.
Yeah, makes total sense. She seems to be the most insulated in the game right now. She now has an active idol. Maeve, we should now talk about it, thinks that she might have an idol as well from a certain player in the game. What are your sort of thoughts here on Ben sort of taking revenge with Jared, or for Jared from the grave here, and sort of showing this off to Allie and Maeve here?
I think it was a great way to build trust. Like, such a better way to play it than just keep it somewhere and hope that someone walks by and finds it, rather than that, like, actively go and tell everyone, I found this idol, like, trust me, please come with me and collect this idol, and you can hold it too, I don't mind. It was a really good play by Ben there, and I think like it might have actually saved him from going home today.
It's a huge move to build trust, especially after that sort of conflict that we saw right before Tribal Council last episode, where sort of Ben and Chelsea have this very frank conversation with each other. That's like, I don't care what you're doing here, just do this. And then there was questions after the vote, obviously, because Emily voted Trent, of like, did Ben do this? Did he vote with us, or did he vote for Trent here? Trent got a lot of answers in that challenge. He needed a wake-up call. He was going to get voted out next, but this seemed to be a blind side for him. A lot of his conversations from what we saw seemed to be centered around, okay, how can we make Emily feel more safe, and not how can I make myself feel more safe? What were sort of your thoughts around Trent's gameplay after the challenge here? And we'll talk to Trent very briefly here.
I just think he was putting a little bit too much trust into Ugly after that competition, where you're getting a lot of doubtful answers. So, in my opinion, I was hoping that he would try to kind of flip, or just, I don't know, because with that many negative answers, you got to kind of assume the worst in that point. So I was hoping for like a flip or some sort of just shaky tribal, but it seemed like he did handle it fairly well.
There was some
conversations.
Yeah, there was some talks from the Underground Alliance of like, oh, who can we bring in for flip here? And they did bring up Trent. It didn't look like that conversation ever happened. I look scanning over the footage from my end. I didn't see any of that conversation ever happen. Maybe they were trying to feel him out and got the vibe that he was ugly strong all the way through. Let's maybe bring in Trent and Ben now to ask them some sort of questions. Trent, after that challenge, was there any sort of thought of like, oh, hey, I'm sort of a dead man walking here. Maybe I need to get ahead of this ugly collapsing thing before they collapse on me first?
I think there definitely was that consideration. Like, I do remember reading my name or hearing my name read all those times, so I'm not totally oblivious, but I was kind of stuck on like it just making no sense for the like ugly five to break up. Like, we were 5 of 9 there, like, and 2 more people were about to come in. So if we broke up there, we could be 4 of 10 for the next tribal. And like, so I just like honestly didn't even consider it that seriously. Like, I knew I was on the bottom. I didn't want to like, ruffle feathers too much and be like, hey, why am I on the bottom? Because I knew the fracture was coming, but I just, I think I said it a few times in the episode where I'm like, you could tell I'm scared, and I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Like,
I think in Chelsea's mindset, it was maybe like, oh, hey, me taking out Trent here is actually lowering my threat level, and I feel just as safe with this other group as I do with the ugly 5. So maybe this is sort of the time to flip. That would be my guess. Obviously, we can ask Chelsea in a future week.
Her rationale that, like, when she was talking, she was like, we got to get out someone on our tribe so that the other people don't think that we won't work with them or whatever, like, to be able to build allies. And that like kind of reminded me of the Family Guy, where it was like, you can have a boat or you can have this mystery box, and it could be anything. It could even be a boat. Like, it's like, So you're gonna vote out an ally who is like fully just, I will die for this team, and in the hopes that maybe you'll get an ally out of it. So like, I understand why my own team didn't think I was being truthful, and perhaps rewatching the show and they're like seeing the consistency of my confessionals and all my conversations. Like, I don't know how many players besides me and Mitch have ever made it to like a post-merge situation where not one of us have ever said a name of like who should we get out or any sort of meaning of that nature. So
Was that? I guess that's sort of the next question. We saw 5 episodes of gameplay of you never really considering who to vote out next. Was there ever any sort of consideration in your mind of, oh, if we do lose somehow, this is who I would vote for, or was that just sort of not on your brain at all?
I think so. What it was like, I remember in Connell's season, him having conversations about that after like winning a tribal, and they're like, okay, but if we lose, we'll get out this person. I was like, that's just bad vibes. You're gonna lose your next tribal if you go into it with those vibes. And I also felt some of the viewers maybe have seen Wyatt in the background dying at times. And so Emily, between challenges, was often not hanging out with us because she was on girlfriend duty trying to save Wyatt. So I did feel like there was kind of like the 4 of us are super tight. It would just be kind of rude to have this conversation. But in hindsight, would have been good to have that conversation because Emily felt like she was on the bottom. But rewatching it, I think like if I didn't make that golf shot, I was going home. Kind of thing.
I think you're probably right based on conversations I had seen. It really did seem like at least early, Emily, Chelsea, and Maeve had quite a strong bonding, and obviously that changed once the swap happened and you guys had a little bit more time together, and Emily had some time to form some alliances outside of that group as well. But yeah, Ben, I want to hear your sort of thoughts on what you did with this idol here. Was there sort of a play to increase trust? Was it just sort of oh hee hee, I want a fake idol in my enemy's hand, or what was the sort of goal around?
No, it wasn't quite that. The goal, I was very demoralized after the last tribal where both Ali and Joel, 2 people that I thought I was the close, like 2 of the 3 that I was closest with, then voted the 3rd person I was closest out with. So did not feel strong at all, and was like, I need a Hail Mary, because if I'm on the bottom here, and maybe it's not this vote, it's probably going to be the next vote. Like I'm on the bottom here. I just instigated this whole entire vote against Trent last time, so I was like, I need something. And the only thing I had was the idol play. So like Krish was talking, I just was like, all right, trust me, I'll give you this idol, anything you want, here you go. Managed to get the people that I wanted to show that to, exactly who I wanted to do that with, which was perfect. I think Ali being part of that was key, just because she was almost my liaison in, and then that whole thing expired, and somehow my name was being thrown out a lot, and I think it definitely helped me in my favor to not get voted out this time.
It really did feel like, from editing that episode, it really did feel like that conversation was sort of a mark in the sand of, okay, Maeve and Chelsea are not hearing Ben's name at all at this point. Like, Ali had already sort of stood up for you and sort of said, let's not vote out Ben and Joel. But I think that was sort of the last motion to make sure that it didn't go any further. Something that Krish and Taylor and I didn't discuss about the beginning of this episode was we did see the Edge sort of figure out the hint that Jared shared with you. How close were you to figuring out that hint? Did you have any sort of inklings of where this idol might be, etc.?
No, I was looking all over places that it was not at. I was thinking about it the entire night, between night 1 and night 2, or day 2, and I was not anywhere close.
Fair. Krish, do you have any questions for Ben or Trent here?
No, not right now. Sorry.
No, that's all good. Taylor, how about yourself?
No, everything got pretty covered right there, actually.
So I guess, Trent, if you did sort of have to go back, would you have made yourself more available for a flip, or would you have tried to play the same game, ugly strong all the way through? Just because that made the most sense to you in your head of, oh, hey, we're 8 right now. We're going to be 8 right now. Then we're going to be 10 again. We need to keep this group safe until we have numbers to sort of be a little bit more flexible.
I would have loved to see what would have happened if they tried to flip me, because like obviously in hindsight, I'd love to say I would have been a gamer. But I was just so all in on the math, just making no sense to flip at that point. It would have been different if, someone came to me and said, hey, the vote is on you. Like, here's a chance we can make a play. Like, Chelsea and Maeve are already, like, willing to move on. Like, and would have been interesting. I don't know when someone would have came to me. Like, watching that episode is so funny because despite me getting all of those negative superlatives, you can see me like having conversations with production in the background, like instead of
that conversation you had with Emily was like 10 minutes long.
If not longer.
Of the 20 minute tribal, you had like a 10-minute long conversation with Emily just being like, "You're safe, I swear."
I know. And then like one of my only other conversations is that one with Joel as we're walking to tribal. Starts with him being like, "Sorry, man, I can't vote for Ben. He's my closest ally." And then I just go, "Oh, don't worry. We're not voting for you, Joel. Someone has your bounty, so I don't want you going home." And he just looks at me. He's like, "Trent, I'm telling you, you're going home." And it's just like not.
I don't think we got that on camera, actually.
So,
I think that bit of the conversation we didn't have on camera yet. That's unfortunate. I guess like one more question for you, Trent. A lot of the people on the other side of this sort of game from you were people that you knew in real life. Jared, Joel, etc. Was that ever sort of an inkling of like, oh, hey, actually, I can play with these people because I do have this previous connection?
I think me and Jared maybe would have been able to work together. I think me and Joel, we were so excited about this season and like talking about it beforehand and how we really didn't want our friendship to like put targets on us or to cheat in advance in any way. So like we were pretty confident we wouldn't be on the same initial tribe, and it was like we both kind of hoped our initial tribe would vote one of us out, like because like I don't know if me and Joel could have ever trusted and worked together, especially at that point where it was like I had seen him just doing all these votes. Like I know he's got this devious side to him. Like I wouldn't let myself get buttered up by him. So if he came to me and he's like, "Trent, you got to flip," and I think he would have been the worst guy to try to convince me. I'd be like, "This is a lie." Like, absolutely. But
I think he was the one who they sort of pegged as like, okay, you go talk to Trent too. So maybe that wouldn't have worked out too well. Ben, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Trent. Do you have anything you want to say before we pop back just to me, Krish, and Taylor to talk about player of the episode?
Nothing much, but it is a nice toque, though. Thank you.
Trent, how about yourself?
No, nothing really. I honestly, I think you remember how nervous I was about the edit making me look stupid because I never once said a name or really played the game of Survivor too much. But I think my strategy was consistent and well played out. It just wasn't
the season for it.
It wasn't the season for it.
If you were playing on season 2 or 3, you might have gone all the way with Braun.
Oh, honestly, I was even saying that. Like, I think that got edited or wasn't filmed. Thank God. Is like me being like, "We're like the girl gang. Everyone come up and beg for your spot at the next tribal." Like,
don't say that on Krish. You might have some flashbacks.
Absolute hubris. But no, it was a lot of fun and. Excited about the Edge Return challenge next week. It's going to be a great episode full of great banter, and I don't know, should have Ugly sent their challenge beast to the Edge Return. I don't know. We'll see how that pays off.
We'll have to find out. Thank you both for joining us. I really appreciate it. I didn't mention this, but I'll mention it now. I wore a pink buff today in honor of our pink canary in the coal mine who went home there. And he gets to hang out with Neil now, like he said, like his shirt says. So good for Trent. Krish, we'll start with you. Do you have a player of the episode this week?
I think I'd have to say it was Ben this week. His name was getting thrown out, and I feel like him making that idol or fake idol play really like solidified his spot in the game, and I think it'll keep him safe at least for the next couple vote outs.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty tight with Maeve and Chelsea now, and especially Ali, obviously with the connection with Joel as well. Taylor, do you have a player of the week this week as well?
I was gonna say Ben as well. Chelsea a close second with her securing that idol and feeling safe enough to get a vote thrown on her. So impressive week from her and Maeve as well. So I don't know, solid episode honestly.
Maybe a controversial pick. I think my pick for player of the week this week is going to go to Ali. We didn't get to see a lot of her maneuvering, but we did see her obviously protect Ben and Joel, and also get out a member of this ugly alliance that she wasn't particularly close with, that sort of forces Chelsea to commit to the relationship that they have together, which is sort of a really strong and good positioning to sort of put herself in at this point in the game, going into an edge return where theoretically you might have someone who you were previously working with come back into the game, just because you've already had to vote out so many people. Keegan also got Emily on her side across tribal lines. Basically said, "Hey, I have your bounty," and that turned into Emily being like, "Okay, maybe I can actually theoretically trust Ali a little bit," which sort of changed a little bit as well. So good episode for her as well. I think
Very
all
true.
three are super reasonable picks as player of the week. I think I'm down to say Ben though. Ben makes sense with that. It's a flashy play, but it's a flashy play with a lot of substance and a lot of foundation behind it to do that fake idol move. And obviously, likewise with Ben, there's a lot of people who could come back in here who Ben's worked with previously too, or voted out previously here too. So it'll be interesting to see. Krish, Taylor, do either of you have anything you want to say before we hop off here? Krish, we'll start with you.
Just that I think I just realized that because Maeve voted for Chelsea, if the four Ben, Joel,
Emily, Alora.
yes, had voted for Chelsea as well, she'd have gone home. Just
Correct.
like,
And Maeve would have gotten the bounty for it.
yeah, just something that I just like thought of. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those votes happen in Survivor Calgary too, because there's so little time to sort of figure out everything that's happening. Is there's a lot of confusion that happens. I'm sure we'll see some of that soon this season. But yeah, some wild stuff. Taylor, any thoughts before we close it out? We wrap it out here.
No. Happy to be here. Excited for this edge return, the double edge return. I think it's gonna shake it up a lot. So yeah.
Are there any people who you're hoping make it back from the edge here? Any people who you think, oh, they didn't get their chance, oh, they could really shake up the sort of...
I would love for Jared to get back in. Jared was starting to roll pretty heavily there, and then it all got shut down, so... Jared's my number one pick. I hope everyone.
That's tough. I guess I would pick Baron for the sole fact that the entertainment value would be off the charts.
And he's no one who voted him out pretty much in the game anymore, except for Alora. So.
Oh shit! Wow.
Yeah, interesting. Just a quick little Easter egg here, and we did not plan this out at all. The very beginning of the season, we took some B-roll of the wanted posters that you see in the intro for the season, and it is Kayla, Baron, and Trent. And coincidentally, Kayla, Baron, and Trent were the first people voted off from each of their tribes.
Oh wow!
Is a fun little coincidence. And it's even in order of the order that they went home.
That's weird.
Fun little manifestation, I guess, of the one.
Conspiracies all over the place.
Truly, yeah.
It was there the whole time.
Absolutely. Anyway, Krish, Taylor, thank you very much for joining me here. Keep an eye out for that intro shot, I guess, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye, guys. Thanks.